Hey, it's Rob. We're back. We're going to do another Hack the Box walkthrough. We're doing another retired machine called Grandpa. It's a Windows machine and it's rated as easy. I personally didn't think it was that easy. It was a little tricky, but overall we got through it. Just took a little longer than I had thought it would. So without further ado, you can see I'm on Hack the Box's VPN and I have Grandpa spun up and here's the IP address of the machine. So first and foremost, as we always do, is I ran an mmap scan, service version detection T4 aggressive on the IP address. And really the only thing that came back was 80. Now, I did notice it was a much older version of IIS 6.0 and that the machine did have WebDAV on it. So I thought that WebDAV would be the way, but I'll be honest with you, I did a lot of scanning and testing, and I even fired up the Metasploit framework. And while WebDAV is installed, I could not find a way to exploit it. I did do some go busting, as you can see here. I checked all this out. There was nothing that I was able to take advantage of. So to just cut to the chase, because I probably spent a good hour trying to figure out the whole WebDAV thing and figuring out another way to attack this machine. I finally literally just went to Google and typed IIS 6.0 exploit GitHub, and a bunch of these came up. And you can see I visited a whole bunch of them. The one that I ended up selecting and trying was this one, Gorks. So if we go to Gorks GitHub, credit to Gorks, the script worked great. It is a reverse shell that will enable you to get a reverse shell via a listener on IIS 6 with the specific vulnerability related to CVE 2017-7269. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this and we're going to go into the code here. We're going to have to do a little modification of it. And I want to say it's Python 2. So we probably are going to have to use Python 2 from what I remember. So we're going to download the raw file and then we're going to go to the File Explorer. We're going to go to create a new folder and I'm going to paste in that CVE number. Click create, then I'm going to go to downloads and I'm going to copy this over to that folder. All right, so now that we're in this folder, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this exploit.py, and then we're going to real quick take a look at the code. So we'll open it with gedit. And you can see the usage is the script with target IP, target port, reverse IP, which is your attack machine, and the reverse port. So for us to use that, we have to supply 4 arguments. Okay. So the first thing we're going to need to do before we even attempt to run this is we have to start a listener. So I'm going to start a listener on 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Then we're going to go back to our folder and we're going to open a terminal here. And I believe it's just Python 2. Okay. Let me just make sure this IP address is correct. It is not. The IP address is currently for this machine 95.233. Okay. So if you look, it's just like the code we looked at. We're running Python 2, and I know it's Python 2 because I tried Python 3. You need Python 2. You have to run this with Python 2. You run the Python script against the machine that you're attacking that is running IIS 6, the port that it's running it on, and then this is my attack machine, and then the port that we have our listener on, okay, which is right there. Okay, so I've had trouble with this script. It may work the first time. It may not. If it doesn't work, we have to reset the machine. If I have to do that, I will pause the video, but we'll cross our fingers and we'll hope it works on the first shot. It takes a few seconds to actually make the connection, so you may think it didn't work, and then suddenly you'll have your shell. All right, so we're going to hit enter. And then we're going to come over to the listener, and we're going to wait. And boom, that actually worked well that time. So we have a shell. Now, here's the problem, and this is what took me forever to figure out, okay? If we do who am I, no, I didn't spell it right. Who am I? It says we're network service, okay? So we are not, NT authority system. We are not a user. We're the network service, which could be a problem, and you'll see why. So if we go CD and we just go to the C directory, and then we do a dir, we can go to CD documents and settings. All right, now we do a dir. And that's taken forever for some reason. All right. There's the administrator, and then there's Harry. So here's the problem. CD Harry, access denied. CD administrator, it's going to be access is denied. Okay. I've tried to write everywhere, like to actually be able to echo, to put something somewhere, and the ability to write, it just is not anywhere I could find in my normal places. Okay, so if we go back to the C drive, root of the C drive, you do a dir. I noticed there's this FPE search, and then there's WM pub. So I tried going into those directories, and if I go into CD WM pub and I do echo hello to temp.txt and I do a dir, I can write to this directory. So this is going to be our home base and where we're going to do everything from. So I spent time trying to figure out how I could elevate my shell. And one of the things you should always do first is when you do who am I, you should tack on priv to see what privileges you have. And anybody who's done these machines or who does these machines on the regular basis is going to see right here, this should set off alarm bells. Now, here's the thing. This is Windows 2003. The potato attack, which is the thing that is the go-to for this, I don't believe will work on this. Now, there's another attack that you can use called churrasco. And I think that's the way that you have to move forward with this, okay? Here is the GitHub, and it is Reason, and it's churrasco, right? So what this will do, well, is this will take advantage of that SE impersonate privilege. And allow you to run a command with elevated privileges. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to download the binary, which is right here. And we're going to just click download on that. And you can see I've already downloaded it. And then we're going to use churrasco to execute a netcat reverse shell. And that should give us an elevated shell. Now, the next problem that I encountered was I couldn't write anywhere, right? I tried to use, so I found a directory that I could write in. Then I tried to use PowerShell to transfer files. That didn't work. I tried to use certutil to transfer files. That didn't work. So my only alternatives were FTP and maybe using some kind of SMB. So what I ultimately decided to do was this. If we go to the downloads folder here, I'm just going to delete this one because we don't need two of them in here. I'm going to open a terminal here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start an SMB server and I'm going to be using impacket-smbserver. So basically, it's just going to create an SMB share on my computer that I can copy files from on the Windows machine. Now, SMB should work on Windows, obviously, right? I could not, again, I could not get PowerShell to work for transferring files, and I could not get certutil, and those are typically my go-tos. So let me just pop this in here. This is the command to create a SMB server share called share in the current directory, which is where this churrasco file is, okay? And then you just hit enter. And now we should be serving up files, okay? So if we go to, nope. Is it in here? Nope, it's in this one right here. Yeah, here we go. If we go here, we can now run a command like copy, and we want to copy that churrasco file from my SMB share to this computer into this directory. So that the way we would do that is we need to put my IP address in here, which is 10.10.14.232. Then we need to include the name of the share, which is share. Then we need to include the executable that we want to copy over and the file we want to copy it to. Now I'm going to shorten this to chur because I don't like typing, right? So hopefully if we haven't made any mistakes, it should copy this file over for us. And it did. We're good. So we have churrasco here. Now the next thing we don't have here is netcat, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the downloads folder and I'm going to kill this SMB share. And then I'm going to go to CD and we're going to go to user share Windows binaries, which should be on your Kali attack machine if you're using Kali Linux. And I'm going to do a dir, and you can see right there nc.exe is available. So that's the netcat for Windows binary. And then we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to run impacket-smbserver, same share name, only this time we're going to serve them up from this directory. So we're going to hit enter. We'll go back to our Windows machine and we're going to do the exact same thing. Copy, and we're going to copy from 10.10.14.232 share. And this time we're going to copy the nc.exe file, and we're just going to call it nc.exe. And hopefully if we haven't made any mistakes, it should copy that over. And it did. So we're good. All right. So now what we can do is we're going to go to this folder again. We're going to kill this SMB share if it will. There we go. And then we're going to start another listener. This time we're going to start it on, let's do netcat NLVP on all 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And now when we go back to our Windows machine, the idea here is we're going to use churrasco, right, to run a command, and it's going to basically abuse the SE impersonate privilege so that we can run that command with elevated rights, and we should get a reverse shell that is NT authority system. Okay, so the way that we do this is now you can see we have the chur.exe, which is churrasco. So we're going to type chur.exe. And then the command we want to run is netcat.exe. We want to connect to my IP address. And we did it on all 9s. And we want to execute command.exe. We want to offer up command.exe. Okay. So now when we hit enter, fingers crossed, when we go back to that other listener, we should have an elevated shell. So we're going to hit enter. All right. And oh, you know what? We may have to specify the path. We're going to have to specify the path. My bad. So that's good that we saw this. So we're going to do the same thing again. This is not in the path, obviously, this directory. So we need to be explicit on which netcat we are executing. So we need to go wm pub, right? /nc.exe 10.10.14.232 on all nines, and then we're going to offer up cmd.exe. Now that we don't have to worry about because that is in the path, okay? And then we're going to close that quote. Sorry about that. So it's very important when you do this, you have to explicitly call out which executable nc.exe you are referring to. So we're going to hit enter. It's going to run, and it looks like the command completed successfully. So we're going to come back over here, and we have a shell, okay? And now if we do who am I, we are NT authority system. So we can go cd c documents and settings, and I am just killing it, guys. I'm sorry. / documents and settings. All right, and now we can do a dir, and we can see there's Harry and there's administrator. So we're going to go cd Harry, and we'll do desktop, and then we can do a dir, and there's the user flag. So we'll do type user.txt. There's the user flag. We'll back it up one more time, and then we'll do cd administrator desktop, and then we'll do type root.txt, and there's the root flag. So this one was tricky. I spent a lot of time on the initial foothold trying to exploit WebDAV when that was really not the way. Ultimately, the way was to exploit that CVE, which was CVE 2017-7269, which is for IIS 6. Once we abused that, we got a shell, but it was severely limited because we were the network service. So we had to find a directory that we could actually write into. Then we had to figure out that we had the SE impersonate privilege, which the potato attack would not work on this machine. So we had to use churrasco. We downloaded churrasco, we downloaded netcat, and we had to use an SMB share because certutil and PowerShell were not working for transferring files. We ran churrasco to run an elevated command of netcat with a reverse listener, and we were able to connect. We were able to get that NT authority system shell, and we were able to get the user and root flag. So hopefully this video was helpful. I will place all the links in the description below. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, please drop them below. I'll be happy to engage with you. And I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.